Hey, dear beloveds. Bree Jones and I are trying to have a conversation, and we heard on the grapevine that Facebook was making two people's lives a bit challenging at the moment. So we're just going to try, Bree's going to try and join me on the Institute page here instead of on her page, so we can have a conversation about why I am not a psychic. It may not work, but we're going to give it a crack. So Bree, I am here. And it just may be that Facebook is not playing. I'm not sure why. We'll just see if we can add you. I can see that you're here, my darling. It also doesn't seem to have that function happening of adding other people. Okay, so we may not be able to do this. Just in case you were wondering why I'm hanging out with you here randomly, Bree invited me to go live on her page with her, and that will still happen. We'll figure it out whether we need to use Zoom or whatever other way that we do it. Bree, I don't know if you want to see if you want to set something up. Otherwise, we will do this another time. But while I'm here, I might just kind of touch on a little bit of what Bree was inviting me to speak about. The idea that once upon a time I was a psychic kind of boggles my mind, but it is true. It did happen that way, and that's how Bree and I actually connected. And I don't want to give away too much because I know when Bree and I do get to have this conversation, it'll be amazing. But it's been a really great opportunity when Bree invited me to have this conversation with her to reflect on the journey that I've made from shop psychic through to now, leader of an institute that trains women as fear hunters, and how different that work is. Now, the only thing I'm going to say about that, because I am live, I'm not going to waste this opportunity, and I know Bree and I will reschedule and we'll find a time. You did mention another platform possibly as well, Bree. If you want to set something up in the background while I talk, I'm very happy for you to do that. The idea that the ethics of being a fortune teller or a future predictor, or telling people what you may be able to know, feel, sense, hear, whatever about them that they don't know about themselves, and the big dangers of believing that just because you have access to that information that somehow you are entitled to excuse me, share that with that person. Now, in the context of a paid reading, you maybe have more permission, but I just feel like even in that context, what are the boundaries between what would actually be determining, as in collapsing the wave function to speak in quantum physics, and actually making the future that you're seeing the only possible future for that person, because you've collapsed all other possibilities. You've collapsed the wave function, which is a way of understanding how energy works, particularly through the double slit experiment. So even if you are accurate in that moment and you can see, hear, feel, or know what is true for that person who's sitting opposite you, desperately seeking some guidance about the big questions of their life, what is your responsibility in what you share and how you share that? Because there is someone sitting before you who trusts you. They wouldn't have paid you that money if they didn't. They're going to believe you. You are then going to determine a future for them. Any moment later, 5 minutes later, anything else that person had done is going to change the future that you saw for them. That's just the way it is. There is no predestined path. The double slit experiment shows us that the subatomic particle took every possible path between point A and point B when it was unobserved. Now, in applying that to the work of the intuitive, it's that every possibility exists, and it's only when we place our attention upon it that we collapse it into the material plane. So the responsibility of an intuitive reader, a psychic, or whatever name you give it, is, in my opinion, so huge, because every possibility exists until we place our attention upon it. And if we see a particular future that's available to our client and we share that with them, we are shutting down all other possible futures. And I think that, to me, that was just antithetical. In the end, if you've read Spiritually Fierce, you'll know my story, I had to walk away from working like that. And that's a big part of what Brie and I are going to discuss in more detail about her own personal journey, because the information I shared with her was accurate. But is that because I somehow influenced the path that she chose? Or, I guess what I'm saying is, life is not a fixed thing. It will change dependent on our beliefs. It will change on our evolution, our commitment to understanding ourselves. And this gets to the heart of the matter of what I do now with women that I train. I train women as fear hunters so that when they work with you as an intuitive guide, they free you up to be your own intuitive guru, to know the next best step for your life in any given moment. And they are simply working with you to clear the fear that is at the subconscious level, blocking your capacity to know and trust and act upon your intuition. Now, that to me is life-changing work, whereas going to a psychic who tells you your future, gives you some relief from having to make your own choices for a while, and then ultimately you might change the course of your life in a way that's not in accordance with your highest good. That is unethical rubbish. And the challenge is, just because you know doesn't mean you're right, or that you have a right to say that information. Now, you may absolutely know your intuition as an intuitive is on the money. But what you don't know is what's going to happen to that person as a result of them receiving that information. So my intuitive guides, the priestesses of the third level, will never fortune tell. They will never future predict. They will never give you information that is going to do anything other than free you to become absolutely self-sovereigning. And our work is not necessarily the popular path, because everybody loves the idea of someone else being able to see a future that means they then don't have to take that adult responsibility to get there. But the truth is that unless we are absolutely congruent in our actions, we are not going to get to whatever great thing they're sharing with us anyway. It's not a given, is what I'm trying to say. So even if they see you marrying the perfect man and having everything you want and all the money and business success and power and blah, 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 and all the things on your vision board, your actions are going to determine whether you draw that down from the field or whether it remains just in the field of possibility. Everything exists in that field of possibility. And I believe that our job as intuitives, if we have the privilege of accessing non-local information, is to be absolutely ethical and have a grounding in the Sorry, a call just came through. For me, because I tonight will gather with the third level priestesses who are about halfway through their journey, and our module tonight is on the ethics of the work that we do. So looking at creating their own personal ethics statement, looking at the ethics of working with the subtle realms with non-local information, and really understanding the great weight of responsibility that we carry because we can see what others cannot yet see. That doesn't mean that it's our right to dump that information on other people. We absolutely, going beyond the kind of contractual arrangement of someone paying you money, what is causing harm and what is actually benefiting the person. And wherever you take responsibility for another person's life and you answer the questions that they're too afraid to answer, then you have absolutely behaved unethically. And this is why we at the Institute stand for a revolution in this unregulated industry, that the work that matters is freeing you to be the intuitive guru of your own life, not paying someone to tell you one possibility in the entire field of possibilities. And I think it's, something that matters so much that we spent an entire module on it in the third level. And really, these women have to produce a really rigorous code of ethics that they adhere to. Now, we also adhere to the IICT code of ethics. We also have an ethics of inclusion, which covers a whole range of things. And we also look at the ethics of honoring your lineage, honoring your teachers, not plagiarizing, breaching copyright, stealing other people's content, de-identifying, erasing sources. All of these things come up in this module. It's a big module. It's an exciting module, but it opens up an enormous can of worms. And I guess what I'm really excited about in getting to talk to Brie is the really big choice that took me away from a very successful business as an intuitive guide to move into work that I believe is truly ethical, truly going to change the world for the better, and support men and women to become the authorities, the sovereigns of their own reality. So yeah, I guess what I feel is that this conversation is going to be amazing whenever it happens. I'll wait to hear from Bree. We may need to find another time or another day. We'll let you know. But this is the foundation of why the Institute is the way it is, and the work that we do in understanding the ethical responsibilities of working with non-local information, and how not to cause harm, and how to actually be, in fact, a force for good. And it's not your right, just because you can access non-local information through your intuition, to share that information. It's not a superpower, it's just truth. We can all access this information if we train ourselves to do so, but that does not mean that we have a right to share that information, because we do not know the harm that we could be causing, the change in life course that we may be impacting or affecting in our clients' and friends' lives. We have to do better, and the best that we can do, in my opinion, is to get our clients and our friends and anyone else who's interested as free as possible from their subconscious fear programs, so that they may access the truth for themselves. And it's a moment by moment thing. There is not a predestined path. There is simply, every moment, is this a choice for love or is it a choice for fear? Okay, I'm going to leave it there. Bree and I will update you on when we'll be going live together. Thank you, Facebook, for making this so bloody difficult. I'm sure we'll find a solution, and it's such a glorious opportunity to get to have this conversation with you today. Mwah. Bye.